Understanding Taoism. So, imagine you have two objects that are opposed to each other. You have A and you have 1. Okay? These two objects are not actually opposed to each other. They're in contrast. Sort of like A1 and 1A. Because A1 is dependent on 1A to exist. Without bad, we'll call 1A bad, there can be no good. Everything in the world cannot be good, or else it just is. Hence the end of duality and the beginning of Buddhism. And we can't have that. So let's go back to this. A1 is surrounded on all sides by 1A. And 1A is surrounded on all sides by A1s. Okay? And we'll make it look like this. So, you have, just kind of came out looking like a sun for some reason, but okay. So here you have it. The bad, the sun, and the good, the moon. Here's the moon itself, and here are little suns. Here are little suns surrounding the bad ones, the evil horned suns, against the terrible moons. They're both bad, maybe they're both good. You know, the 1As might think the A1s are really bad, and the A1s might think the 1As are really bad. But in any case, A1 is dependent on 1A, 1A is dependent on A1. So 1A is surrounded by 1A over here, 1A is surrounded by A1, and A1 is surrounded by 1As. So, as 1A closes in on A1, they're in contrast. Not necessarily left and right, but two contrasting forces. So what we have here is a system similar to a flux, wherein, if you think about it in a fourth dimension, a fourth dimensional plane, not necessarily a three-dimensional, but if you think of these surrounding this object in all three dimensions, so coming up and coming under the page, and over here as well, A1 is surrounding 1A on all sides, and 1A is surrounding A1 on all sides. It's kind of like an atom. An atom has a nucleus with protons, so it's got the nucleus center, the neutral center. They both have a neutral center in three places, within themselves, and combined in their coexistence. So there's three neutral centers, a trinity of a duality of two contrasting forces that are dependent on each other to coexist, and hence that is how you explain yin yang to someone who doesn't understand Taoism. And there it is. That, in a nutshell, is the explanation to Taoism. If you feel you need to hear it again, feel free to rewind. But, for a more advanced explanation, let's take it one step further. The fourth dimensional plane is that this is a three-dimension, and this is a three-dimensional plane, and they are the only two that exist, but they don't exist together, so there's two three-dimensional planes that coexist parallel to each other, creating a fourth dimension of two relative, sorry, I don't know who that was, I didn't look, that's too late. So there's a fourth dimension of these two three-dimensional planes that coexist within each other. So A1 is also here, but how could it be here if it's only here? It's only here, and 1A is only here. So what is this in between them? This is that trinity that expands. This is our universe, you see? Our universe here is expanding. And on this side here, it expands infinitesimally in 6 directions. So the center of where these two items meet, let's say we're 1A, let's say we're evil. Let's say we're evil. Then A1 is good. But if A1 is good, why is it attacking 1A? Well, 1A feeds A1. It's like a tree. 1A is a tree that bears fruit that goes through the Trinity in the fourth dimensional realm over to A1 where it nourishes A1. And A1 then produces a fruit off of its tree that nourishes 1A. And here you have the yin-yang formation. I'm going to see if I can get some kind of charcoal to draw that so it's more obvious. But the gist of it is that if you just fill this in, this area here, and let me see if I can make this easy to understand. This area here is the dark, or the other half of the white, but within the dark is the white, within the white is the dark, and that is exactly how you form a yin-yang. And you can see, if you look at it now, you can see that it's coming down in another realm this way. So this is, I hate to use the expression, but like a pad that's been bent, but these are both three-dimensional planes, you see? That is the yin-yang. And here you have existence coming out in 6 directions. So that's up. So again, up into the paper. That's 2, 3, 4. 4 is back. 5, 6. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 dimensions right there. That's 4. That's 2. It's 2 dimensions and it's 4 directions. My mistake. So 2. And then another one that goes up and down, that makes a total of 6 directions. The reason there's 6 and not 5 is because they all have the same starting point. If they had a different starting point, then there would be a path, and then there would only be 5 directions based on the 6, which would be the path between the 2 points. Since there is no other point, there is no other. That is the essence of Taoism. There is no duality. This silliness doesn't make any sense. Maybe this is existence, maybe there's a flux between good and evil, but that's a flux between us and ourselves. And in the end of the day, we end up something that looks like a maxi pad. It's silliness. Duality has become a maxi pad in the yin-yang theory. Absolute silliness. But the truth of the matter is that, aside from the cartoonishness, this is exactly how we live our lives. We live our lives with a battle inside of us, where we can't figure out what's good and evil. We want to do A1, 1A, but A1 tells us we can't. If we do 1A, then we feed A1. And if we feed A1, then we feed 1A. And back and forth we go, and then suddenly we're dead, and we had no energy, and we didn't do anything. What did we do with our lives? That's not it. You see? Taoism and Buddhism together form a Zen, I'd like to call it like a Zen coalition, but it's not exactly that. Here, if you were to go into, you see, now imagine this is coming up, so again, it would almost be like you can come in on the inside of this and come up there, right? So like a slide. You see the slide? All right, so there's this slide, and then, so to give an example, with my coffee thing, it would be similar, it looks similar to this, right? Do you see where the curve is right here? So it'd be coming up, and it would be folded in like that, and then it's coming up into a kind of a wave. So there's a wave here that folds over, but within that is a million smaller ones. So this all crushes down and becomes the new A1. So now the new A1 is really A1 with a bunch of 1As around it. This is now getting really advanced into Taoism in terms of the philosophy of duality and how yin-yang works together, to give you an idea of how you can use the inner smile and the inner smile and inner alchemy to control your body and regulate it, so that you can focus your strength on learning things like Iron Shirt Qigong, where you're slowing down the aging of your organs inside. People who don't really understand the Iron Shirt, they think, oh, okay, so he can hit you with his sleeves or something. No, Kung Fu is not meant to hurt. I don't know where. If Kung Fu is meant to improve your reflexes to survive nature, not each other, it's silliness. Anybody can win a fight. Depends on the day. Depends on the mood. Maybe I ate cauliflower instead of broccoli the day before. You know, who cares? Fighting is childishness. It's childish. And after the age of 4 or 5, if you haven't learned how to speak, I mean, come on. This is the hell then, right? Doesn't that make this the hell? Right. So whether we're A1 or we're 1A, the other one's got to be the better one. Am I right? So anyway, these all crush down to form 1A. But remember now, there's a constant A1 being sent to 1A and a constant 1A being sent to A1. They're in opposition, but not necessarily opposed to each other. They stand in opposition in terms of their contrast. So like a left and right, but it's not. It's a shame because people think the right-handers are better than left-handed. That's silliness. There is no better or worse. If everybody was left-handed, then everybody would also be right-handed. In terms of everybody not being right-handed, it doesn't matter. Then everybody's right-handed, and there are no left-handed. That doesn't make any sense. Why would? It's like having an industry where you only have waiters and no chef, or you only have bartenders and no alcohol. You know, everything has to be different, or else nothing is the same. It's just nonsense. I mean, we can all be a big white dot, but then what good is life? You know, what's the point of life if we're all exactly the same? Why would you want somebody to conform? Why would you want somebody to be like you? It doesn't make sense. If we're all the same, it's just a security issue, and that's something you need to see psychologists about, not psychiatrists. Those pills will kill you every time. America's hooked on prescriptions. You name it, somebody's got one. Now this over here, between these two and their flux and their inability to coexist interdependently, because they cannot coexist interdependently, you may have heard this term in Buddhism, because they cannot coexist interdependently, because that does not happen, they form a flux. And that flux forms a three-dimensional figure 8. You see, here's this figure 8, but it's coming down and then up, around, and then back over. So from over here, and there it is. And you see, and right, and then under, and then up here. So there's that figure 8, but it's again, it kind of looks like a pad folded in half, but it's not, because there's another dimension to it. I'm doing this on a piece of paper, so imagine that they come together to a point that never quite reaches 0. So that's this point right here. This point right here is a point where they are not equal. So A1 is not equal to 1A. And as they approach 0, they flux back and forth. So A1 shrinks down, and 1A and A1 over here go strong. So the black and white over here go strong, and the black and white over here disappear. And if they disappear all the way, then there's a problem. They can't approach 0, or else we all blow up. We all blow up. So there has to be at least 1 here and 1 here. You want to call it God and the devil? You want to call it black and white? It doesn't matter. I'm white, but it doesn't matter. This is your own duality. This is the issue Americans are causing the whole planet. Their inability to understand God is not good and the devil is not bad. Stop it. One man's poison is another man's drink, and one man's drink is another man's poison. Whatever the expression, it doesn't matter. You can't all be the same, or we'll run out of food and we'll run out of sustenance. We can't all feed off the same tree and expect there to be another tree waiting where we forgot to water it. You know? So there has to be more than one. There has to be more than two. We can see by this example that 2 doesn't work, because there has to be that trinity, that point that this actually doesn't exist. But if this area becomes 0, then everything is over here, and then this breaks in half. Well, that doesn't work, because then there's no filtering system between the two, and the flux equation is broken. There's an equation that maintains all of existence. A1 is not equal to 1A. And the whole A1 plus 1A in parentheses, okay, this is an interesting one, does not equal, so I gotta do it over here, because this is gonna sound crazy, but it's true. Does not equal reversed the absolute value of A1 plus 1A. And if I can show you that in a separate page, just so you can understand, I'm running out of time, 15 seconds, so it's A1 plus 1A, A1 plus 1A, absolute value, reverse equals, doesn't equal, parentheses, A1 plus 1A. Guess we'll have to talk about that another time.